Okay, I think we are live. So let me just test on the YouTube and see. But if you guys, I think there's a little bit of a delay, so 10 seconds. But yeah, I can see us. And can you guys see us on your side of the stream? Thumbs up. And everyone, please use the chat on YouTube, as that's how we'll be interacting with you. So welcome to our live Q&A with the board of directors, outgoing and also incoming, maybe, if they reapply. We're now accepting nominations, self-nominations for the 2022-2023 board of directors and school year. So if you have any questions at all, I'll leave this slide for a bit now, so you can scan the QR code or go to this URL. And feel free to ask any questions that you may have for all of our lovely directors that are present here. Unfortunately, we have 2 directors that are not able to make it, but I think all of us can answer some of the questions that can be posed to them. But just to introduce ourselves and the roundtable who's here, my name is Shamira, and I'm the president of SEDS-Canada. I'm a PhD student in Toronto at York University. I'll pass it on to Sobia.
Hi, I'm Sobia, and I'm the VP Internal for SEDS, and I am a 4th-year engineering physics student at McMaster. And Marika?
Yes. Yeah, I'll go next. I'm Marika. I'm the VP External for SEDS Canada this year, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Toronto. I'll pass the torch to Vanessa.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm a mechanical engineering student at Ryerson, and I'm the events chair on the board of directors of SEDS Canada this year. And I'll pass it over to you, Alina.
Hello, yeah, my name is Alina. I'm a projects chair with SEDS Canada, and I'm a PhD student at the University of British Columbia. And I'll pass it on to Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm a 3rd year mechatronics engineering undergrad at Waterloo, and I'm the director of communications. I'll pass it on to Sapan.
Thanks, Caitlin. Hi, I'm Sapand. I'm a graduating computer science and physics student, my bachelor's at the University of British Columbia, and I'm a director at large at SEDS. And back to Shamir.
Awesome, thanks everybody. So we have different time zones, but mostly concentrated in Ontario and BC right now with our board of directors, but hopefully we can expand on that nationally later on. But just a little bit about SEDS Canada. We are Canada's national student-run non-for-profit, and we're the only one, and we hope and aim to empower students just like you and just like us to actually join the space industry in Canada and kind of navigate that path towards like non-formal education, experiential learning, and professional development opportunities that we can offer you. So we are essentially a snapshot of Canada's future in space. So the future leaders in the space industry is right here, and also in our staff, our amazing members and our amazing alumni, and our amazing volunteers that are not present here, but we would just like to shout out and highlight them. And this is just essentially showing that we align with Canada's the Minister of Education and Technology and Science also proposed this for the new space strategy for Canada, and we align with a lot of these goals, but most especially the 3 that are outlined here. So inspiring the next generation of Canadians, harnessing space to solve everyday challenges for Canadians, and then also ensuring Canada's leadership. So we won't go in detail on that, but we have a few question and answers that we'd like to go through today, but just to kind of hone in that our mission is essentially to strengthen Canada's future in space. So we provide post-secondary students and now high school and now grad students and also young professionals with a lot of unique projects and opportunities to get involved. And our vision essentially is to be the central hub and the main facilitator for all students in Canada, especially the post-secondary demographic, undergrads, especially to have an impact in the Canadian governmental, industrial, institutional space sectors, and so that we can engage students using space. But SEDS Canada is a part of a wide consortium of SEDS Earth nations, and we would not be here without our neighbors and our friends from different countries and different nations. So SEDS is just one of the bigger parts of SEDS Earth, or SEDS Canada is, but we have neighbors down south, so SEDS USA, also UK SEDS across the pond, and all over the world that we collaborate with constantly. And we'd love to hear from you if you're ever interested in collaborating if you're ever part of those SEDS organizations too. But a little bit of some prompts to ask our directors, and everyone can feel free to jump in. This is just a casual talk, so we would like to make you feel comfortable to ask any questions and just very casual. But the first prompt that we have really is, what is the SEDS Canada Board of Directors? Like, what do we do? I don't know if anyone who has been on the board or, well, everyone has been on the board, but how was your experience like this year and what can you kind of tell? Maybe let's start from Sobia and then we can see if anyone else wants to add on.
Oh, okay. So I guess generally what the board of directors is that we're just basically overseeing our strategic plans for the year and the general maintenance of SEDS. So each of the directors, they have a pretty specific role as to what they are going to be working on. And then they have some staff that they oversee. And then a certain number of goals that they want to achieve within their term. And so it's been really cool because for the VP internal role, I can talk a little bit more about that. I've had the opportunity to work on our membership benefits, but also our outreach programs. So I've been able to oversee some staff, work with other directors on those same goals, and then bring those programs to actually being launched. So it's really awesome. But yeah, I guess I could pass on over to Caitlin.
Yeah, so this is actually the first year that we have a director of communications position at SEDS. So it's been really fun being able to kind of build the team, the media and communications team, working across the entire organization with all our wonderful staff, our different teams and our directors to kind of coordinate our media and communication, what we see on social media and some of our website, and really planning for the future of this organization and the future of our branding image and our media and communications. So I guess now I'll just pass it on to Alina.
Yeah, I don't have much to add specifically about the board in general, but I'll say that this is my second year on the board. I was a director at large last year, and this year I'm projects chair. As a projects chair, I oversee all of SEDS-Canada projects, which include our microgravity flight competition, our stratospheric balloon launches, most recently Canadian Arctic Research Expedition, and also Y-Space competition. And it's a lot of fun. I get to work with our staff that helps run these projects. I get to work with our student teams that are participating in the projects. I get to work with our partners like CSA and NRC. And for me, the best part of this role is always going for the launch campaigns and actually meeting the students in person and, you know, attending those parabolic flights, attending the stratospheric balloon launch. It's a very fun role. I'll pass it on to Vanessa.
Yeah, so what do we do on the board of directors? A lot of it is first our own portfolios. We all have specific roles, but also overall governing of SED. So it's very democratic, nonprofit. Everything is done by vote and group discussion and research. We're all here to support each other too, which is really nice. It's a real community of passionate students. I was the events chair, so something I really loved was working with our amazing volunteer staff. It takes a lot of people to put on our annual conference and our Space Apps hackathons. And there's so many people who work so hard to make it happen, to give these opportunities to all of you. And I get to learn so much from them and all of their amazing insights and experiences and expertise. I'll throw it over to you, Marika. Oh,
awesome. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna jump in. Or no, okay. Yeah, just to add on to what Vanessa said about SEDS being a community and kind of linking that back to the BOD and what we do. I'd say the BOD being on the board of directors is very much a leadership position, but we also work very closely with our staff members. And I've really been inspired by the way that all of the directors kind of lead by example or lead by doing. So I would say, you know, while we're leading, we're also very much involved with our staff members and like meeting those goals with our staff members and working to, like, we're doing the work too and leading. So I thought that's like a really cool aspect of being on the BOD. You get kind of a taste of both. And in my role specifically as VP external, you know, one of the aspects of what I do is being the liaison between our board of advisors. So I've had the chance to really connect with them, and get great advice from them, and also tap into their networks. And especially if we've reached out to them for different mentorship opportunities and speaking opportunities and things like that. So connecting with space professionals in the industry has been a really cool aspect of my position.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I think everyone kind of has spoken except for Stefan. So I'll get you in the next question and also me. But essentially, you guys also already touched on the next question that we wanted to kind of cover and just give light and information to people. But how does being a director really work? So every day, kind of like, what are the prerequisites to be a director? Do you have to be on the board already previously to be a director? Like, what are the expectations in meetings? Tasks that we have to do, kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be like very specific. So just a general overall answer would be really good or insufficient. So Stefan, if you want, you can get started on this one.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Shamir. Yeah. So I know people already started talking about this a bit in the previous question, but I'll add a little bit more on some of the details. So, for example, prerequisites, we all have to be students in Canada. That's pretty much the main prereq. In general, you don't have to have already been on the board. You don't have to have been a staff, which was the case actually for me. It's my first year on the board, and I wasn't actually a staff the year before, but I was just a general member of SEDS, and then decided to apply, and it worked out. So yeah, it may seem kind of, that's another thing. It's like, it seems like it's kind of far out there. It's a bit crazy to even imagine if you've never tried out maybe working for SEDS or just tried out being a director before, like me. But it will work out if you're interested and passionate and you make a good case in your nomination. And then in terms of meetings, I think I can just briefly mention, and then I'll pass it off. We do have regular meetings, which is nice. If you're familiar with Agile, for example, which is where I came from my background, it's not too dissimilar. It allows you to kind of consistently get feedback from everybody else on what they're doing and also what they think about what you're doing. And also, if you have any questions or concerns about your tasks and other tasks and general things that are going on, you can easily bring them up, because it's just a casual, like, weekly meeting that everybody attends as much as they can. And I think that's one of the keys to how the BOD runs, is just this consistent communication, which I think may make this one of the most effective organizations, especially volunteer organizations that I've been a part of. And yeah, I'll pass it off to, if anybody else is interested in speaking, I'll keep it open.
Awesome. Thanks, Stefan. That was actually really, really like great. So I think you summed it up really great. So there's no prerequisites except for the president role, which I'm currently in. So I've been part of the board for 3 years. And the only prerequisite to be applying to be a president is essentially you have to have been part of the board for at least 1 year. So that's a minor thing, but every other position and role, you're able to kind of apply off the get-go. If you're still in university and never heard of SEDS even, and just really love space, or if you're really passionate about task management and project management, then that's great too. But if not, I think we can move on to the next question, because I think we'll touch on this a lot. But just to give you a little bit of an overview of being a director, essentially, like Vanessa had mentioned, we govern the entire organization. So we have a giant team behind us. So it's not just us 9 working hard and basking in the glory, but it's also our staff members, which they do a lot of work in the background as well. And also, especially with our events and our projects, which are the backbone of SEDS, as well as our logistics team, whether it's with human resources or hiring or internal operations or external relations and media and comms. All of the directors have a role in managing the staff members. So if you're really good with interacting with people and also managing tasks and delegating tasks to people, then the director role is a really great role for you as well. And the next question that I just wanted to pose to everyone is, what do the responsibilities of the BOD look like every day, like kind of day to day? Is it a busy week? How much time do you really commit every day or every week? It's different for every role. So if one of us can get started on maybe I'll go to Marika first, and then you can pass it on, just kind of say and talk about the VP external role.
Yeah, for sure. So as you mentioned, it definitely varies depending on what your role is. But as Sepand also mentioned, we meet as a board once a week. So you'll have that meeting, and then there's various likely bi-weekly meetings that you'll have with either your staff members or other members of the board for separate meetings, depending on what projects you're working on week to week. So the responsibilities generally, obviously, to show up to those meetings prepared, do your work, and get your deliverables completed. And it definitely fluctuates depending on the programming that you're working on at any given time. But yeah, like for example, most of my time recently has been involved with helping Sobia and Sepand coordinate the mentorship and outreach programs. So we've been doing a lot of work on the back end of those, and I'm sure we'll plug those later on, so stay tuned. But yeah, I'll hand it off to Sobia as well.
Sure. So yeah, like we do that 1 hour meeting, so that's like a hard deadline of like what to attend. And then I think like for the VP internal role, specifically because I'm working on like membership benefits. And so one of our newest membership benefits is our mentorship program. So me, Marika, and Sepand will likely meet like bi-weekly for that. And then especially nearing like the launch of the program, we had more consistent meetings. And then in terms of the outreach program, so when we talk about that, we mean like our chapters, affiliates, and our regional reps. So me and Sepand would have weekly meetings to touch base, and then I'd also have like a few staff that I was able to work with, and we were able to actually create these programs, which was really great. So those will be launching soon. But yeah, so pretty much it's what you make of it in terms of like how much time you have to put to the meetings or the work that you have to do outside of the meetings. And I find that if you can just communicate as to like how much time you're able to spend on SEDS per week, you're able to balance things like a job, if you're on internship, or school and things like that. So we found that like the director's role can be busy at times, but as long as we communicate with each other, we can get past those hard times in the semester. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else wants to add on.
I can speak a little to events, and maybe also it's similar for projects, Alina, but you can feel free to jump into. But for us, we really have high seasons and low seasons, because we have, for when projects happen, the campaigns, and for events, like the couple weeks before the conference are very, very busy. So it's a good thing we have other directors and staff to lean on. But I also try and like plan the conference for a time, not during midterms. So it's more reasonable, because we all know we're students here. And I have some teams that meet weekly, some teams that meet bi-weekly. It really depends on the team. And then I also have meetings externally, so with aerospace companies or the Canadian Space Agency, or with advisors that we're asking for advice because we have a lot of outside input or sponsorship agreements or collaborations going on for things like that.
Yeah, maybe I'll speak to the projects. It similar in terms of meetings is, I think, similar to events in a sense that there's different teams that we have for every single one of our projects, and most of the teams meet weekly. Some teams meet bi-weekly, and so I would say projects chair role is quite heavy with meetings. I can have anywhere from 5 to 9 hours of meetings this week, for example. But it's, I also I agree with what Sobia said in a sense that as long as you communicate with people, and our staff is amazing. And so I feel like if I am very busy with my PhD research, there are certain meetings that I miss, and catch up with the teams afterwards. And I trust them, and they do a great job, and they don't really need me there. I just have to pop in every once in a while. And we meet with our partners externally as well. usually monthly. And once we get closer to, for example, the campaign, that's when we might have more frequent meetings with our external partners. And then throughout the year, our teams complete different milestones in terms of their technical deliverables that they need to provide throughout the year. And that's when we have things like progress design presentations and critical design reviews. And that's where our subject matter experts, as well as everyone who does the project on the SED side, listen to what the teams have done and get updates on their work. And we give them technical feedback, which is one part of the projects chair position that I really like, is the fact that, you know, I get to participate in technical discussions as well and get to learn technical and scientific aspects of the projects that I help run. Yeah, anyone else who has anything to say, feel free to. Yeah, Sapand.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to also mention for there's a lot of different roles on the board. So as you've already heard, there's like a huge diversity of what you'll be doing and like how your work will be structured. And I think that is even more flexible in the director at large position, which there are actually more than one. But we do have kind of rough, and actually we do have pretty good outlines of what you'd be doing as a director at large for the coming year. But yeah, this year, for example, in my position, I began in kind of a kind of up to me, whatever I wanted to kind of jump onto role. And one of the things I really wanted to work on was like the membership and also the website related work. And then eventually this kind of went out to also doing things related to regional reps. And then now also with Sylvia and Marika working on affiliates and chapters and all these sorts of different initiatives. As a director at large becomes kind of your choice to dabble into and work on. And I think that's also why it's really exciting as a director at large to just consistently be keeping up and working on whatever's new, whatever's happening in the organization, whatever's needing to be pushed out. And whenever you feel like, for example, you don't have things to do, either as director at large or as other directors, that's another thing, is you aren't necessarily restricted and only allowed to work on things that are under your position. Other directors will definitely need help in what they're doing sometimes when, as you've heard, like things pick up for certain roles and certain times. And that's something that definitely is encouraged, is to just support the other directors, work as a team. And generally the board is really designed to steer the organization. So we definitely can't do everything on our own. And that's another thing, like I can also pass on to someone else to talk about, but we really work and build our team, but also the staff to kind of function as this like well-oiled machine. And so it's really satisfying to see when it's working, and definitely a fun kind of management style job, if that's what you're interested in doing as a director.
Awesome.
Yeah, if anybody wants to talk about that.
I really love that you said it's fun, because we are students and we are volunteering. So we want to get some positive things out of this and also gain something positive as well. And whether that be friendships or, you know, experiences and skills, then that's even better. I think the next question will just go very briefly because this is a little technical. So Sapand and Sylvia, you mentioned the strategic plan and steering the ship. So the question is essentially, what is the SEDS-Canada Strategic Plan and how does it contribute? Well, how do we contribute to shaping the organization through it? So I can answer some of the first parts of it, but essentially the strategic plan is like a live document essentially that we work on first thing as you're part of the board of directors. So as soon as you get onboarded, we kind of work on this plan for the year. So it's every school year dependent. And essentially there's 5 pillars. One is membership, finance, programming, which includes projects and events, communications, and also governance. So essentially that really are the 5 themes of how we govern SEDS, and we contribute to this document all together with our staff recommendations, our member recommendations from the previous year, and then we bring this together as a draft and we actually present it to our board of advisors for their feedback based on their expertise So I can maybe pass it to Marika because she could talk more about that and how the BOA kind of help us in this document brainstorming and finalizing it.
Yeah, so before we really finalize the strategic plan, we do bring it to our board of advisors at an annual, we call it our kickoff meeting. It usually happens towards the later end of the summer. And we take that time to essentially present our rough draft of our strategic plan to the board of advisors, and then they're given the opportunity to give us feedback and any advice that they have regarding our goals, the feasibility of our goals, the structure of our goals, and things like that. And we really take all of their advice into account when we make the final draft of the strategic plan. And it's basically like a guiding document for the year. And we try our best to adhere to the strategic plan over the year and ensure that we're kind of reaching all of these goals that we've set out for ourselves. And I've actually found it very useful to refer back to over the year, especially when I'm managing my staff member. So I oversee the PR and advocacy team. There's one staff member on that team, but still, we're a great team. And I refer back to the strategic plan when I meet with her so that I have a firm list of kind of to-dos that both she and I have to do so that we're always constantly and consistently working towards completing those strategic goals.
Awesome. Does anyone have anything else to add to this question? Or you think we've kind of covered it? Yeah, kind of a technical thing, but it's really important. It's essentially what we do first thing. So this is already an introduction to being part of the board of directors, a little taste of what you have to do at the beginning initially. So the next question that we wanted to ask is, what does the self-nomination or application process entail or look like? If you have not seen our website, I can quickly go through this, but everyone just please shout, if there's like some discrepancies or you want to take over. But for now, let me just quickly change my screen share and show you kind of the process of the website that we actually use, which is SEDS.ca. So if you go to our website, SEDS.ca, which you should be able to see now, you can actually scroll down. First, it's actually navigatable first. So you can click join us, and then there'll be a drop-down menu there showing Board of Directors 2022, 2023 nominations. And you can go all the way down and kind of look at the roles that you would tend to gravitate towards or your skill set best matches. So there's all the descriptions and also a prerequisite if there is any for the role. And please feel free to go through them and we try to make them more transparent and more efficient so that if you have any questions at all, you can always email us as well. So if you go all the way down, you're able to find our email here. So that way we can answer your questions more promptly. But if you scroll all the way up, it actually gives you the link to the button where you actually submit your nomination. And that is through our Google form, through our website. So you have to submit it by next week, Monday, before the end of the day. And essentially that looks like this. And the application process is quite simple. So if you just go scroll through it, the most important part is obviously the demographic information. And you also get to rank your first and your second choice based on, again, your skill set and what skills you'd like to develop and experiences that you want to contribute. And then we ask a few series of questions about why you're qualified for your first position, second position, what would you like to accomplish, some ideas that you can contribute, and kind of like why would you be an asset to the team. We ask you to attach a resume with this naming convention. So please follow that, and then we can actually go through the applications quite easily. And then you can also, lastly, link your own LinkedIn or kind of more demographic information about where did you hear about this election. So please feel free to go and check that out, because the nominations, like I said, are self-nominations. So you miss 100% of the chances that you don't take. So if anyone else has any things to add, please let me know, or any motivational quotes that you'd like to say. Other than that, we can move through the questions too. But I hope that was easy enough to see. and to apply. And we just really want to take all the barriers to entry away and make the application process as easy as possible for you. So don't be afraid to reach out or to send us a DM on Twitter, on Instagram, or tag us or email us, like I said. But yeah, that's it. Does anyone have anything to add before we move on? Great. Okay, so that was the application process, and hopefully that is a little clearer now. And if you were considering applying but finding time or finding it difficult to apply, then hopefully now it's a little bit easier. The last few questions are kind of more wholesome and just getting to know us as students and as people. So I just wanted to ask every single person that we have here on the board, what has been your favorite initiative to work on with SEDS-Canada and why? I can go first because I'm here, but I wanted to say that I really loved being able to participate in the Canadian Arctic Research Expedition project. So shout out to Alina, who's managing the entire projects team. But I really have a special place in my heart for the Arctic because I do my research there for my PhD and my master's, especially for the Arctic communities there, as well as science communication and outreach. So I am very passionate about those two things, Arctic and outreach. So the CanIRX project is a combination of both of those. So I really love contributing to it. And we're actually doing our first workshop tomorrow with a school in Resolute Bay, as well as in Yellowknife in Northwest Territories. So I'll pass it on to Sobia about her favorite part of SEDS-Canada.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of SEDS has been having the chance to develop our outreach programs. So we've been working on the development of the chapters program for about 2 years, and the affiliates has been 1 year, and regional reps has been in full swing for about 2 years as well. And I think like the best part of it has been that I've been able to work very closely with Sepand and Marika. So we got our own little, we're just working together, and it's really great and fun. And even if we're really tired, we still work together to push through and get things announced and stuff. So it's been really awesome. And then I also really I really liked working with some students who are actually running some of our pilot chapters, because I felt like the initiative that we're working on is really filling those gaps. And I'm definitely excited to see the future of that. So yeah.
Marika, do you want to go next since you're next on the screen for me?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Sylvia took my answer a little bit. I also really enjoyed working on the outreach programs. I had a feeling that would happen. I've also enjoyed working on the mentorship program, but I also really wanted to kind of give my staff member on PR and advocacy a special shout out. Her name is Sophia, and she's been absolutely incredible this year. I mentioned that in my bi-weekly meetings with her, that my to-dos mostly come from the strategic plan and things like that, and making sure that we're adhering to that. But Sophia's really taken a huge initiative and come up with fantastic ideas herself, including implementing what we call a SWOT analysis internally in SEDS. So she's been working on completing all of those. And basically what it is all about identifying our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And just really giving a really holistic view of what's going on in SEDS. So I just wanted to give her a big shout out and just say I've really enjoyed working with her.
That's so sweet. I think she enjoyed working with you too. It's vice versa. That team is amazing, and everyone in the board is amazing. It's all about really people. I feel like we've just had an amazing team, and I'm so sad that the year is over and we get to do it all over again, which is another exciting thing. But Vanessa, it's up to you.
I think I'd have to say the conference. It was a really big undertaking, but similar to what Marika said, I made such close friendships with the volunteer staff I was working with, and they're so smart and so hardworking and so kind. We all look out for one another, check in on each other. If someone's having a bad week, someone else will take over the load. It was just such a great team to work with, and also getting to hear such incredible speakers. Even though I was running the conference all weekend and exhausted, I was also just inspired as an attendee. So that was really rewarding. And yeah, I just really took a lot out of that experience and learned a lot from it.
This is so wholesome. We're gonna keep going. Stepan, what is your favorite initiative to work on with SEDS and why this year?
Yeah, it's challenging for me to answer now because so many of my favorites have been taken now by Marika and Sylvia. But honestly, like there's been a lot of cool outreach stuff. So I'll just say that again. But besides that, it's really cool to have a bunch of different staff to kind of work with and work on things like the website, for example, or even just the outreach initiatives that we've been starting and pushing now. We've hired different people for them, and it's a great chance to actually like try to practice some project management skills, and then also really figuring out like what is the best way to get things out to people and to get people involved in space more. And I think that's kind of what I was hoping to work a bit more on coming in as a director, just getting more people involved in space, where hopefully they're interested in it but don't have the resources yet. And I think that's probably been my favorite part.
And last but not the least, Alina. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, and Caitlin. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
In the screen, I
Yes.
don't have all of you.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Shamira talked about the Canadian Arctic Research Expedition as one project close to her heart. For me, the projects that close to my heart is our microgravity competition. I participated in that competition as an undergrad. That's how I first learned about SEDS. That's how I wanted to get involved in SEDS. But having been a participant first, I could never imagine that I'll get to experience microgravity as an undergraduate student, that I'll get to work with students to build and execute an experiment on a parabolic flight. Like, it's such a unique opportunity for students. And it was truly a dream come true, having that experience thanks to SEDS. And sort of related to what everyone's been saying, is another great thing about SEDS is the people that are in SEDS. And for me, when I participated in RGX and I got to meet the directors at the time and the project staff at the time, it was those people that were already part of SEDS that got me interested in becoming a part of SEDS. So yeah, that's my favorite part. And I think one of my favorite things about SEDS in general is the people. So I also want to give a shout out to our project staff, who are absolutely amazing. And similar to events staff, they support each other. And if anyone's having a hard week, then someone else can pick up the tasks. It's really amazing to see how our staff works together. And I'll pass it on to Caitlin.
Yeah, so kind of echoing what everyone else has said, the people have been amazing. This is my first year being a director at SEDS, and just the support I've got from my staff and from the rest of the directors has just been really amazing. Also echoing what Marika said earlier, working with Sophia, our PR officer, and the rest of the communications and media team, building it up from the beginning has been really interesting and really great, working very closely with all these staff as we plan for the future of this team and plan a direction for SEDS external branding. It's just been really great learning from all their different expertises and just seeing everyone's different view on what they would like SEDS Canada to kind of showcase everybody. And it's just like coming into this as a director, I really wanted to kind of just make SEDS seem more approachable to students who maybe have never been in this space, have never really felt like they can get into it easily. And just seeing the input from my media and comms team and like all the different ideas they have about trying to integrate different sectors such as art or even space law, it's just been really cool to see just how everybody's thinking.
Great answers to everything. So I think I'm just going to pop on a slide just because we have shouted out our events, projects, staff members overall, and none of this would be possible without them ever. So all the projects and events that you see here and the ones that you don't see in the background and the initiatives that we do, especially in our hiring team, all the membership management that we're doing, that's all being done in the background and with hardworking people. So we just want to take this time to thank everyone, because it's really important that we recognize all of everyone's hard work. And this is really a team effort, not just a board of director effort. You know what I mean? So kind of going into the last part of our Q&A before we open it up to some of like audience questions that we've had from social media. I'll give everyone like some time to brainstorm, but in one word, if you can describe your experience with the BOD this year. So some of you have been part of the BOD for 1 year, some for 2 years, some maybe longer. So this year, I can start. For sure, I can say that it's been humbling. 2021, 2022, we've all been through a lot as humans. And so I think working with just such intelligent and hardworking people, you literally learn a lot from them. And I hope they learn something from you too, you know? So it's really nice. It's been really nice working with a lot of everyone here that we can see as part of the board and the staff and our advisors. So I'll pass it to Caitlin again, if you have one word to describe your experience this year working with the board.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the perfect word, but eye-opening, kind of to echo what you said. It's just been really neat seeing like what everyone's been up to and like across the organization, and just learning about like what they're doing and seeing how well they can execute it has just been really amazing.
Cool. Okay, we'll pass out to Sobia.
I don't think I have a word. No, I think it's been very like the time on the directors and like working with everybody. I think it's been quite like, I guess one word would be community, is that we have a very strong community, not only on our board of directors. Everybody I feel this year has gotten like quite close in our director calls, and then also like with our staff, as everybody has been saying, is that like there's just such a strong sense of community. So yeah.
Vanessa, how about you?
Well, you took my word, Sylvia, but maybe a secondary word would be professional. It's kind of a nice bridge between, you know, university student group and then going out into the wider professional world. SEDS is somewhere in the middle, and it's really a great learning experience for someone who's a student and wants to learn how to run meetings at a higher level, how to manage staff, but also how to reach really big goals. We set a lot of high bars for ourselves, and we work as a team in that community to achieve them. And it's really amazing to be surrounded by such driven and professional people who are also students, but who are working at that like high level to make those things happen.
Perfect. We can pass it to Stepan.
Sure. I'm not going to pretend to be good with words, so I'm just going to say the rocket emoji is definitely the one word that would encapsulate the experience. Yeah, like it's just been like everything's been launching that we've been working on, but also it's quite exciting to work and build things in the context of space, in a very kind of approachable but also welcoming community, as some other people have already used the word of. So yeah, just overall like very exciting, kind of like a rocket launch.
Awesome. Okay, I think we still haven't done a few. So Alina, and then you can pass it to Marika.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one took my word yet. It was a blast. I'll pass it on to Marika.
When I saw this question, I immediately thought just positive. Like I've just had a really positive experience on the board of directors. I've had such a great time working with this team and getting to know everyone. And I feel like we're all like really good friends now. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed my experience, and it's just been really positive overall.
Aw, thanks everyone for all of those exhilarating answers. So we have, my favorite was probably Stefan's. Rocket emoji is not one word, but Caitlin too. But I think that is our last question, at least for the board here that we have. But if anyone else in the audience has any questions, we'd like to open the virtual floor to any of your questions. I know we already have 3 that I see on YouTube, so we'll answer. I think the first one that I see right now is, are there any advantages and disadvantages of applying as a director versus a staff? I think Alina, maybe you can shed some light on that if you'd like.
Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind when you apply is when you apply as a director, and if you get elected as a director, you cannot participate in our projects during that year that you're a director. And that's just because as a director, you have access to information that might be a conflict of interest if you're participating in the projects. But on the other hand, as a staff, you're only not allowed to participate in the project that you're actively involved in. For example, if you are work with our stratospheric balloon team, you can still participate in our parabolic flights competition at the same time as you work with SEDS. And again, I just want to emphasize it's only for the time that you are with SEDS. So if you choose to be a director, it's only that 1 year. And maybe another thing that I'll add is we did mention in the past that a director is really a leadership position. So I think a director versus staff, it just depends on what you're more interested in. As a staff, you might still have a small team of other staff that works for you and with you. So you might still get some leadership experience, but you also get more guidance from the directors. Whereas as a director, even though we have each other and we discuss things and there's that kind of support, a director role can still be require a bit more of being a self-starter and kind of taking the leadership on your position and kind of figuring out what you need to do. And if you don't know something, you have to figure out where to go to find out the answers to what you need to do.
Perfect. Thanks, Alina. Does anyone else want to add to the question if there's any advantages, disadvantages of applying as a BOD member or a staff versus a staff?
I think like one of the biggest advantages is that as a director, you get a lot of you get the opportunity to really bring your ideas to fruition in terms of like fleshing them out for the strategic plan. So as it was said before, we have input from our staff, but I feel like as a director, it's more like you're in the weeds of like building the strategic plan. So you can really bring forth your ideas of how we can execute it. And just work on initiatives that you really care about at a higher level, and then work with staff later on to bring those to light. So it's really rewarding.
I just had a quick footnote too. If you're thinking you're a high school student or you're a young professional, one advantage of a staff position is you don't have to be a university or college student. You can be anyone as long as you're interested in space and want to get involved. So we have some really great members on my teams that are in high school who maybe aren't ready for a director position, but they are learning so much. And I did something similar with TEDx when I was in high school, and I think that's really great to take that initiative if you're young and driven. And then we also have some really amazing members of staff who are already started in their career, but have so much to give to the space community. And it's great to see them reaching a hand back like that.
Perfect. And yeah, just to sum it up, it is essentially what you put in is what you get out kind of thing. And if you really are driven and want to make a change, then make it happen and apply to be part of the board of directors, I would say. We can move on to our next question. This is from Instagram. And the first question that they have is, what is the club's affiliates program and representatives? And can we have some clarification on how are the directors part of this whole thing? Sobia or Sepond or anyone?
Sure. Sorry, I thought I unmuted. So pretty much the university chapters program is just like SEDS-Canada is creating the resources to help students who are interested in space and want to create student clubs at their schools. So we're providing them resources and then access to our network, and then they can become a SEDS-Canada branded chapter. The affiliates our idea is to partner with pre-existing student space clubs who are doing a great job, and we just want to add them to our network so that we can continue to grow the national student space community. And then our regional reps are just awesome students from all across Canada who volunteer their time to meet with us and share things about SEDS in their universities and to their teams. So the way that the directors are involved with them now is hopefully not exactly how it's going to be next year. So because we were just starting with setting up those programs this year, the way that it worked was Marika, Sapand, and I, so the VP internal, VP external, and the director at large, kind of took ownership of like one of the programs each. So I took chapters, Marika was more affiliates, and then Sapand is more regional reps. But next year we have a cool new director at large role, which is our director of outreach, who will hopefully help spearhead those 3 programs and help them in their first full year, probably. So yeah, that's sort of what those programs are, and that's how the directors are currently involved.
Awesome. Does anyone else have anything to add? No? Okay, perfect. I think that was a good summary, Sobia. For the next question, I think this is more looking like towards Vanessa for events. And it's from Instagram again, asking, how does conference planning look like? And is the events chair or other directors in charge of planning the conference? What is the kind of situation?
Yeah, I can definitely speak to that. So short answer is yes, the events chair heads up the conference. But this year we're hiring a conference lead. So you can also lead the conference as a staff member. So please apply at seds.ca/join, especially if you have previous event experience. But yes, the events chair is very involved in the conference. That's one of the biggest events but it's not just you. So there's the conference lead as well as an incredible team of staff. We have a speakers lead, a sponsorship lead, graphic designer, science communicator, marketing lead, logistics lead. So it's about a team of 8 to 10 people, and fantastic people to work with who put the conference on. As well, if you're part of a student group, currently open is the host bid. So you can co-host Ascension with us next year, which Ascension has a new name now, the Canadian Space Conference. So you can co-host it with the expertise and this team to back you up from SEDS Canada. So we have a lot of experience to support you, but it's an established conference and it will be hybrid next year. So if you're at a student group at a university, then you bring the in-person portion to your university, which is exciting. So also apply on our website or the link in our link tree.
Perfect. You've heard it. So we're looking for bids for co-hosting Ascension, or now renamed CSC, or Canada Space Conference. So I think we have another question in the chat. It looks like, is it possible for a Canadian student to make a chapter at an American university? And I think we've been also getting this question too in one of our membership surveys, because there's some Canadian students that are studying abroad and they still like to participate in SEDS Canada projects. So an events, is that still possible? What does that kind of look like? If anyone wants to touch on that.
So I guess specific to chapters, unfortunately, we're focusing on Canadian schools to start up chapters, but our partners with SEDS USA, they have a great chapters program. So if you're a Canadian student studying abroad and you want to get involved in some sort of SEDS space club, then definitely check them out.
Maybe from the project side, unfortunately for projects, you also have to be enrolled in a Canadian university. But on the flip side, if you're an international student studying at a Canadian university, you can still apply for our projects.
Awesome. And they don't have to be a Canadian citizen, right, Alina? They just have to be attending.
Yeah, you just have to be enrolled in a Canadian university.
But you can be a SEDS Canada member and you can come to events too. So we'd love to have you.
Awesome. I think that concludes some of our Q&A, but if any of our audience members still have any questions or need clarification for the application process, please definitely visit our website. So we have a ton of directors as resources. So you can even find our email on the website if you just go to seds.ca or follow us on social media or email us, depending on how you want to access us or connect with us. But feel free to check out our webpage and go to sed.ca/BOD nominations to check out the different positions that you are eligible to apply for. And we're going to sign off there. And I just wanted to say thanks to our board. You can all unmute yourself because we're just popping off like one by one on the screen anyway. But thanks again, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening. And if you have any other questions, let us know. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.